Okay, so the first question is, who are you?
Who are me? What, like, oh, just who I am? Right. My name is Mikey Barry.
Hello there, I'm Lawson from Live and Let's Dice.
Hi, I'm Jules from Live and Let's Dice. And what culture?
Oh, bloody hell.
First Warhammer army was Catachan Jungle Fighters, Imperial Guard. My dad showed me Rambo from probably a way too young age, and from that point on I just saw them and I was just like, oh my god, it's an army of like 200 Rambos, what's not to love?
I got given the box set of Black Templars versus Dark Eldar, and I just cast away the Dark Eldar and went straight for the Black Templars because they were black and white and Space Marines. And yeah, that was my first army. I attempted to stick them together using PVA glue because I didn't know what plastic glue was at the time. I used poster paint and didn't prime my models. So when it came to taking my little army of little Black Templar dudes down to the Games Workshop to have my first intro game, the ones that survived the trip weren't many, and they proceeded to just collapse on the table. And I just scooped up the remnants like into a carrier bag. I didn't even put them back in the box properly, and I just left. I didn't even say anything to the guy in the shop. I just scooped them all back up and just walked out and didn't play another game for like 6 years. I would just occasionally collect things because I liked them, and it took me like, I didn't play a game for 6 years, and then it took me like at least 4 years to find out what plastic glue was. And then that started my solvent abuse quite hard.
My first Warhammer army was Warhammer Fantasy, and it was a skeleton horde, and I had convinced my mum to take me into the Warhammer shop. We used to pass it all the time, and I'd be like, I want to go in there and see what it is. I can see all these people having fun. Didn't know what Warhammer was, had never read a White Dwarf or anything like that. Walked in there, and this guy was just like, hello, young boy, would you like to start an army? And I'm like, yes, please. And it was just like, skeletons are the thing for you. And I was like, cool, yeah. So I ended up from that one trip getting a box of like skeleton warriors, which I lost all the parts for before I'd even come close to trying to stick them together. And do you remember the old bone chucker catapults? I had one of those, which I thought was brilliant because I'd found a way of putting it together where I hadn't actually stuck it down. So I just lobbed stuff with it. And that was the game. That was Warhammer to me. Just, yeah. Three skeletons and a little chucker that I used to throw their heads at my sister. That was it. Great game.
Oh, chaotic good. Yeah. You know, that whole, just because like, bit of destruction, but for the greater good, sort of love, you know?
It's always a tough one. I think probably like lawful neutral. You know, I like to, I don't like to see people getting the rough end of the stick for no good reason other than the other person is just being a bastard. So like, you know, that's just rude and wrong, and I'm not a fan of that. But I wouldn't consider myself good by any stretch of the imagination, nor am I completely evil. I am a tepid man when it comes to my own temperament, and I'm at peace with that.
I don't know, I probably would be, I'd just be neutral. I'd just let people do what they want to do, you know? It's just like, as long as you're not hurting anyone, just butt off, innit?
It's definitely Corvus Black, and for anyone who has ever painted near me and asked for a bad in black, I'm like, what about Corvus Black? It's a nice blacky grey that came out with the new Citadel range, and it's just... I am a pusher.
To drink?
Right, I can't say all of the contrast range, can I?
I mean, you can, but let's see what happens.
No, I think that
know what it was like.
I think that my favorite I think that my favorite color, just because I've been painting so many Emperor's Children, has got to be Emperor's Children pink. It's just a beautiful, beautiful pink, and there's nothing better than going to a gaming event and just seeing your opponent plopping out all of these really nicely regimented things, and you're just kind of like, loud and proud. And then they just go, that's disgusting, that colour scheme. And I go, I know.
Half-orc barbarian, hands down. Because, and this actually comes back to when I was a kid. I was the youngest out of my brother and my friends, and when we play video games and stuff like that, I would always pick the biggest, strongest character because I was the smallest one. I was the youngest by about 3 or 4 years, so obviously, tiny man. But yeah, I would play a half-orc barbarian because who doesn't love to just be a big, angry shout of fist and weapon?
Ooh, I want to be. I don't know, I think I love paladins. I love dragonborn. It's a dragonborn paladin. I don't know why I was thinking so much. I love dragonborn paladins. They're great. You know, going around bestowing the virtues of their god, which is always going to be Bahamut the Platinum Dragon. So yeah, I always love dragonborn paladins, like big strong guys, and they also have really high charisma. And I just like the idea of a lizard-faced man being like, "What's up, girl? How you living?"
It's one of those things where I could probably narrow it down by knowing which ones I don't like, because I've played many characters in D&D over the years and none of them have had glorious or honourable deaths. I think the worst one for me is when I was an elf wizard and I fell into a pit of spikes because my owl did not steady a rope. Thanks for that. So yeah, in honour of how angry that made me, I think I'd probably say that I would be an elf wizard.
Oh, what's the closest race to a spider monkey? I would say, knowing me, I would probably just say like a half-elf monk? Maybe, because I like my... And I'm skinny and tall and...
It's a goblin bard. My ears stick out way too much. I go around, I've got a big mouth. I've got too many teeth. I just go around telling stories. Oh, governor, you should see the latest thing that's happening down there. My life.
NPC. That's a tough one because it's like every time I think about this, I go, nope, that's a board game. Oh, nope, that's a board game. Oh, nope, that's a board game. It's like stuff like Doom. Doom has had like 2 really good board games. No, not the Bollywood movie. The video game franchise and the excellent movie starring Carl Urban. You know what? Sort of Animal House or Blues Brothers. Blues Brothers. I think Blues Brothers would be a fantastic board game to play as you race around Chicago, trying to get members of the band back together while being chased by Illinois Nazis, Carrie Fisher, and the police. Like, what's not to love about that? Well, it'd be like one of those Grand Prix games or that bicycle racing game, but with John Belushi.
It would be The Cabin in the Woods. Because the idea of this sort of AI versus survivors, it's got great horror elements, there's a lot of mix and matching you could do, there's so many different ways that you could actually create this game. You could have it multiplayer, 1 versus 4, you could have it 5 versus an AI deck, who knows? You could have, there's so much you can do with it. I think it's just an incredible film that has so much potential in either video games or board games. And I'm already designing this for myself. I'll know if you make it. Trademarked.
You think about it, a lot of stuff has actually already been made into board games. I mean, I would have said, looked at classic films like The Thing or like Big Trouble in Little Chinatown and say that they could make fantastic transitions, but they already have been. They've already been made into board games. So I think that my choice, if I was to be cold and calculating and I wanted to be a rich man by the end of the month, I would make Fortnite the board game. Battle Royale board game. Tell me you wouldn't buy it or at least play it. It would shift like hotcakes, guys.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, we're saying that, but finding 100 children to play with.
Oh,
That's a prison sentence right there.
Yeah. Yeah, the age demographic might be an issue. Yeah, okay, actually, let's cut that.